All right, Clerk Wright, please call the roll. Okay, Trustee Frazier, she's excused. Trustee Miller, Trustee Martin here. Trustee Boyd. Here. Okay, Trustee Bud, Vice President. Here. Yep. Okay. All right, today's summary, new business, is to a discussion and resolution for Van Buren Estates. We're going to discuss the sidewalks of Van Buren Estates. We have an award to make today to begin work over there. We are also going to be discussing some soil excavation for the Wilkins water ponds. Yeah. We also have a company that's going to build part of our Van Buren Township Iron Belt Trail. And we have a couple of amendments to some articles for our waterways to change some ordinances for our waterways, for our boating safety. We also are going to do some rezoning for single family residential to an M1 light industrial. And we're going to have an amendment to our fire code prevention. And that'll be that. So can I get an emotion, Treasurer Buck, for adoption of the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented with the notation that items 5, 6, 7, and 8 should be listed as the second reading of those ordinances listed.
Got a motion, I have support. There no discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item would be the consent agenda. Trustee Miller, would you please take care of that?
Yes, the consent agenda includes 1, work study meeting minutes of June 21st, 2022. 2, closed session meeting minutes of June 21st, 2022. 3, board meeting minutes of June 21st, 2022. 4, prepaid list of June 23rd, prepaid list of June 30th, 2022. 6, voucher list of July 5th, 2022.
I have a motion. I have support by Treasurer Budd. Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We have no public hearings scheduled today. Correspondence, announcements, and presentations. I guess the first announcement is that Trustee Kevin Martin has just been made a board member for the Michigan Association of Planners. He is a citizen planner, right? And he's a BZA member, and so we're pretty. It's a state organization. It's pretty high and mighty amongst the Association of Planning Community. So congratulations. I also want to make note that we had the fireworks, and there was one of the biggest attendances we've ever had, if not the biggest. There were no reported issues, unlike I read in all the newspapers about all the other fireworks. Everything went fine. And in more humorous thing, I read where Mark Abdullah is our new is the donut eating champion cop of the tri-community area. So I'm very proud of our cops.
So through the chair,
Yeah.
I have had some people reach out to me about the problems they're having with their animals with all the fireworks, asking if the township can do anything. I told them we have an ordinance on file, but where can they access that?
Muni code.
We have an ordinance on file, but more importantly, we mirrored the state of Michigan's ordinance, which is also out there. And I believe what is it? They've got a week.
I don't know what the ordinance is. The Muni code carries all of our ordinances. It carries them all for different communities across the country.
Do you know what the
So
code
our
is,
Muni code.
Lieutenant Bosney? Do you know actually what the code is on fireworks? Because they're not done with this, I remember. They still got a few more days.
And you're right, we
Yeah.
can't stop them, but
No.
if they know what the ordinances are.
So state law supersedes township ordinance as far as the fireworks go. There's a certain amount of legal holidays you can shoot fireworks off the day before, the day of and the day after. There's certain caveats as to not being able to discharge fireworks from public streets, sidewalks, churches, schools, public property, basically. So, our local ordinances are available on Municode, www.municode.com. You'll see a map of the United States, click on Michigan, and follow the prompts down through the counties, and you'll see Van Buren Township and Wayne County, and everything that we have in our code of ordinances is online and is up to date.
So you're saying they can't shoot fireworks off from their driveways?
They can from their driveway, from public property.
Okay.
But they have a lot of people that I correspond with on a frequent basis. One person has expensive horses that they train, and the horses actually go crazy during this time of year in the air show. So I was like, I get a phone call, what can you do about it? I'm sorry, take your horses on vacation.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else have any announcements?
Yeah,
All right.
I will make mine. I'd like to announce that the election commission did meet today at 4 p.m. in the Den room to consider the approval of election inspectors, AD County Board inspectors, receiving board members for August 2nd primary election. Motion was approved, passed with no issue or concern.
All right, anybody else? Anybody from the public that wishes to make comment or make an announcement? No? Any public comment? No? All right, we're gonna continue on, moving on then. We have no unfinished business. We're gonna get right into this new business. Can I get a motion on number 1, which would be discussion on to consider resolution for Van Buren Estates, otherwise known as Hagerty subdivisions, for their sidewalk replacement program? Can I get
Make that motion.
Ms. Trustee Miller? Clerk Wright? Okay, Director?
Good evening, board. Thank you. You'll hear about 2 different aspects of the Hagerty subdivision or Van Buren Estates subdivision sidewalk program tonight. The first is a formal procedural item, and it relates to how the township has to administer its sidewalk programs based on the ordinance that was passed earlier this year. So before you is a resolution that has all of the required components to basically approve proceeding with the beginning of the sidewalk program, including the facilitating of the awarded bidder to complete the program based on the public input we received and based on the inspections and analysis that was done in the neighborhood. So I'll just summarize the aspects of this resolution. First, it refers to the ordinance that was adopted earlier this year to allow the township to administer a sidewalk program. That was ordinance 3-15-22, which is an amendment to section 7426 of the township's general code. It speaks to the approval of funding for the program that was approved by the board in May. There's a reference to the public input that has fed this project thoroughly throughout the process, including 2 informational sessions in April 2021 and April 2022, as well as the public hearing that you, the board, held on June 21st at our last meeting. There's a reference to requiring that owners of lots or parcels have to replace or repair sidewalk where the condition of the sidewalk necessitates the replacement for repair for public health, safety, and welfare. We note that the responsible property owners have been given notice, both of these public input opportunities that I mentioned and initial estimate of their cost for sidewalk replacement, which, as we know, is actually now lower with the recommended bidder than was originally estimated. There was an analysis performed by the township engineer to evaluate the sidewalk repair needs. And then the resolution also summarizes the scope of the project, which is 643 lots, repairs on 4-inch sidewalk in this neighborhood. The total repairs include 45,339 square feet of 4-inch sidewalk that's the responsibility of those property owners, as well as 2,021 square feet. That's the responsibility of the township, not including driveways. And total square footage of 47,360 square feet in the roughly 176 acre subdivision. There is a reference to the estimated volume that I just mentioned, changing up to 25% based on additional necessary repair work or field changes. We don't anticipate change close to that amount, but there is the potential there for some change in that 25%, and the contract allows for it if necessary. The replacement of and repair of the sidewalk is necessary for the public safety to prevent trip hazards primarily. And finally, that there was a notice to bid that was advertised for the installation of the above mentioned sidewalk, and bids were opened on June 21st of this year. And a recommendation of bid award will be made to the Township Board of Trustees on the next action item here. So the conclusion of this resolution is that the board grants the approval for the project as listed, and that the treasurer shall assess the township's costs for the replacement or repair of the sidewalk against the property involved, payable within 3 months of project completion or over a 3-year period. So that is the background of the request before you, and the next action item is actually that a recommendation on a bid award is reviewed by the township board. There is a reference to notices being sent to residents in your packet. Those notices were already sent previously in the season, and residents are well aware of the project at this point. So with that, I would recommend that you approve the resolution to proceed with the program. And if you do that, then the next action item would be the recommendation on the bid award.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
What was the final cost per yard? I know you're going to look into that. What per yard? Per cubic? I'm sorry, per cubic.
For square foot,
So what was it?
$6.45.
That's amazing. So were the residents notified that that was going to be the final price?
Yes. Yes.
Great, thank you.
I'm out there pounding the pavement.
I know you are. I know. They tell me.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on this? Hearing no further discussion, I have a motion for approval by trustee Miller, supported by clerk Wright. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Move on to number 2, which is the second part of this. Discussion on to consider approval of a contractor. So, trustee Martin.
Motion to approve the selection of Rotondo Construction Corporation for the 2022 Haggerty Subdivision Sidewalk Replacement Program.
Okay, go ahead, directors again.
Good evening, board. I'm here before you tonight for the consideration of the selection of Rotondo Construction Corporation. Mark Rondo is in attendance. If you have any questions. This replacement program, it should be noted that the bid amount is at $6.45 a square foot for a total of $290,250 is a estimate based on Rotondo replacing 45,000 square foot of sidewalk. The final contract amount will depend on what's removed and replaced. So with that, when Rotondo go and remove a piece of sidewalk, me and Mark gonna measure that piece of sidewalk, and they're gonna charge that homeowner exactly what that measurement is. Of course, the final amount also depends on residents making their own repairs. So throughout this experience, there's residents that still would like to perform their own vehicles. We know, I've been out there with Rondo and Canton, and there are residents replacing their sidewalks without township now. So once he goes out to make a repair, you can contact me, I'll go out, verify, and I'll give you the authorization. There were 5 bidders. Bidders range from $6.45 to $18. Of course, Tondo was the lowest. His references were checked. He was highly recommended by Township of Canton and Macomb. I've been out there with them on several occasions, watched their work, watched the program, understand the program, and I think they'll be great for residents and agriculture. That I recommend the board approves Tondo Construction, move forward with this project.
And I take it that they're bonded and insured as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Has there been any discussion about them doing work for people such as their driveways while they're going through this?
Yes, there have been.
That'll be done on the side between them and the president.
Yes, it's gonna be done on the side. I'm still a little bit on the fence with that, because what I don't want.
No, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that it doesn't bleed into our pocket.
Right, but I don't want it to, I want them to get through the project
Okay.
part of the house first.
All right.
And, you know, we're not gonna stop them from performing that work, because if the sidewalk is getting to it, I might as well get.
God love them. Do it all. Any other questions?
No.
No, we've got a motion by trustee Martin and supported by trustee Miller. Hearing no further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Thank you. All set. We're looking forward to it. All right, next item is discussion. What? That was the first one. Second was, yeah, first that. Discussion, number 3, discussion and consider approval of up to 1 year of soil excavation and hauling by Todd Waller on behalf of Dennis Wilkin. Can I get a motion? Clerk, right? Number 3, yeah.
I'd like to make the motion to consider up to 1 year of excavation and hauling by application Todd Water on behalf of Otis Dennis Wilkins for the purpose of creating 2 irrigation ponds for agricultural purposes.
Support.
Okay, Director.
Thank you, Board. Tonight, I have in attendance tonight, I have Mr. Waller and Mr. Farmer, who will be running this project approved again. And I say again, because it might look familiar, this was actually brought to the board in April of 2021. The ordinance that dictates how we review excavations in the townships, gives a 1-year expiration on a project like that. So learning my lesson about some areas where projects can be delayed, I made sure in tonight's action that we give some flexibility to staff and to the landowner and to the excavator to establish a start date so that we know what the exact time frame is. Obviously, there's some delays here. But the ordinance does require the board to re-review it because it's been over a year since the first approval. So just a really quick recap. The proposed area of excavation is to the southeast of Holt Road and Sumter Road. What you have here is 247, give or take, acres of contiguous farmland. The owner of the property, Mr. Wilkins, needs the expanded capacity that pumps provide for the crops that he's trying to irrigate here. And so there is a proposal for 2 separate ponds. The 12 locations shown on this map. And the ponds are used again to irrigate crops. And the way that this works is that the soil is just dug out, hauled off site, and the groundwater is only a few feet below the surface of the soil, so it's right there available for use and for pumping for the cropland. So the estimated excavation volume is around 192,800 cubic yards. So it is a considerable volume of material that we removed to facilitate this operation. Here's what the site kind of looks like now, where they're proposing to dig is near existing ponds that already exist on the site. You'll notice that these are, one of these at least is currently used for some irrigation purposes, kind of blends into the site. It's not have fencing around it. It's something that's used for the agricultural activities, and it's kind of tucked in back there. So these are kind of the rough locations on the site where the existing ponds are. As part of this approval, the Planning Commission also reviewed the project, its basic standards for ponds under Chapter 42, Article 4. They reviewed that in 2021. The expiration does not apply to the Planning Commission's review. They don't have to go back and review this again because it's down to a permit that's released by staff as part of what the Planning Commission oversees. But the board does have to review this again because the expiration that I mentioned. And because you've seen this before, I'm just going to summarize some of the recommended conditions. Most of these are in progress or already complete. The Planning Commission had some conditions of approval that had to be met when they reviewed the ponds in 2021. We were requiring a slightly improved topographic plan that showed the elevations that were being adjusted. That was provided. There will need to be an engineer certification of the grades when the work is done. There's a Wayne County soil erosion permit in place to address the restoration of the pond. Pond must be built according to Township Engineering Standards Manual, including hours of construction operation and those kinds of things. And there are some conditions and comments about the ponds being used for agricultural purposes. So there are some exemptions from some of the Planning Commission standards and board standards that apply based on that, including fencing. A pre-construction meeting was already held in October of 2021, but based on the owner's timeline, the project and the weather, the project started over the winter. My only new recommended condition is that staff and the applicant be allowed to establish the start date, and then once that's confirmed, we'll impose a 1-year completion date, so this doesn't drag on. And I will note that in the pre-construction, we also talk about things like haul routes, trucking. These trucks aren't going to be going through downtown Belleville. They'll be primarily going along the roads that are Hull Road, parallel to Hull Road, south, as well as southbound on generally Martinsville, Rossville, and Sumter Road. So just to show you in detail, here's another view of the plan. It's also included in your packet. This is a detailed plan that we could use for record keeping that shows the details of all the excavated material, volume that's being excavated. So this certainly meets the ordinance standards for all the details that are required. There are other standards regarding the slope of the pond, making sure it's not too deep, things like that. So the proposed pond meets the ordinance standards, and I would again recommend conditional approval. And once we establish a start date for the excavator, it'll be done within a year, or it'll be coming back to the board if there's for some reason a request for another extension.
Done this once before. Does anybody have any questions? All right, I have a motion by Clerk Wright. I have a support by Treasurer Budd. Hearing no further questions, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Please be done in a year. We don't want to do this again. Any more than you do. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Number 4, discussion on to consider approval of the selection of Anglin Civil to work through a section of Van Buren's Iron Bell Trail, Section B. Can I get a motion?
To approve the selection of England Civil LLC for the Van Buren Iron Bell Trail, Section B, for a total of $796,217, in addition to the associated budget amendment.
Okay. All right, Director, where's that at? Sorry, the question over here. I know where it is.
The township has recently received news that we've secured multiple grants in order to construct section D of Iron Ball Trail. As you remember, section D spans 1.25 miles with an 8 to 10 foot asphalt pathway starting at the intersection of Rossville and Grove Street. The path turns northeast on the I-94 Surface Drive, curves east and follows the road until it goes into Van Buren Park. The pathway travels through the park and butts up right to the south. So firstly, DTE has awarded us with a DTE Foundation grant for an amount of $300,000 through the Michigan Trails Fund.
Yay!
This is super special because of the history with DTE and the park, so that's pretty cool. And then secondly, Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation awarded the Huron Water Pathways Initiative with a grant to cover $471,217 of the project.
Yay!
So this big project, we have a required township match of $25,000. In addition to pathway signage, we put in a not to exceed amount of $15,000, but it's not going to be that much money. So also HWPI, the Huron Water Pathway Initiative, they're covering the cost of the construction engineering, which is about 40 grand as well. So we're getting a good deal on that.
So what is that, 300, 417, and 40? There you go.
Yeah, so we received 6 bids, which were publicly opened on June 7th, 2022. The low bidder was England Civil LLC at $796,217.11. Reference checks were completed by PEA, and we have received their recommendation for England Civil LLC to be awarded the project. Kevin Murphy, right there, project manager at England Civil, is with us tonight if you have any questions for him or his team. Also, what we'll need to do is a budget amendment to handle the accounting procedures. So the proposed amendment would be to line item 101-718-958 and its associated reimbursement account, sorry. So that line item also covers other Iron Belt Trail grant projects, section H, D, and J right now. So if you take a look, our grant line item is $500,000 right now in the 2022 budget. We propose to amend it to $1,312,000. And what that breaks out to in those gray and orange boxes, the gray box is just showing that we had originally 500 grand. We have to cover signage, which is that not to exceed amount, probably won't spend that much, and then the contract amount of $797,000 rounded up. And then in our reimbursement account, we're going to adjust that to cover $400,000 in the original budget, and then we labeled that wrong, $772,000 on signage, but in the contract amount, not including our match. So, any questions on all that math?
Who do we have to thank for the grants? Because I know that how much work that is.
Yeah, it's a ton of work. We have really good groups behind us helping to fundraise this. The one is the Michigan Trails Fund, which I mentioned, which helped us secure the DTE grant. Also helped us with the Ralph Wilson Jr. Foundation, along with Huron Waterloo Pathways Initiative. So
So who from the township worked on getting those grants?
Dr. Rennell and Tammy.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
They worked with the right group. They did an amazing job. Fantastic.
Thank you. We will be doing a groundbreaking probably late August, early September on this project. So we'll do a little bit more of a formal grant announcement. Those groups obviously want to do a little bit of press on that as well. So there'll be more if this project is awarded tonight. And if it is awarded, we'll be starting hopefully the beginning of September around there, final construction wrapping up in spring of 23.
Excellent work. Thank you.
There will be a groundbreaking on a lot of the trail, but we're going to have to be giving out a lot of awards and plaques for. There's a lot of people that are helping us out here.
Any questions for myself or Kevin? Perfect. Something with civil.
Yeah. When's it going to be done?
So most of the project, I believe, we're hoping in fall of this year, but there'll be wrap-up items going into the spring. The final construction.
And it's going to go from Washtenaw, which is going to attach to their trail. It's going to go up to I-94, and it's going to go back down into Van Buren Township Park, all the way up to the south.
They'll attach
She
to
can
the
raise her
center,
hand
correct?
or type it in the chat.
And the saddle is fixed.
Yes, that's beautiful.
It's towards the end of the meeting, so probably about
All
20
right.
minutes. Yeah,
Basically,
and I'll let them know.
in the end,
that, hey, I've
you know,
got
you guys
something.
have just done an amazing job finding people and finding resources and putting together a great team with good contractors and we hope. And now, yeah. All right. Thank you very much. All right, we're moving on then. Need to take a vote on this. We have a motion by Treasurer Bud. We have support by Trustee Miller. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Thank you very much. Now, the DTE and Ralph Wilson Fund. Obviously, we've got to do something special for them. Have you got something? I mean, we've got more money coming from some of these groups out there, so I don't know. Do you have a timing issue?
Yeah, we have about actually, so we're allocating that 470,000 from the Ralph Wilson Fund, but they actually gave us about 2 million.
Yeah.
So we're trying to leverage each, all of those funds along with grant funds and other grants and fitting those puzzle pieces together. So you'll
And
be
if you
hearing a
guys-
lot more. Not very true.
And call your senator and state representative because the last of our money is hopefully coming through. I mean, so really how much is the total project? 7 million, 7.4? Yeah, it's okay. At any rate, when we started this thing off, we thought it was going to be 2 or 3 and it kept on growing, but it didn't matter because we kept on finding friends willing to help us. It was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're moving on now to number 5. Number 5 is a second reading, so whoever makes this motion is required to read the motion in its entirety, along with all the numbers. So, can I get a motion for a second reading of this ordinance for waterways?
Supervisor, I'll make that motion. To consider approval of the second reading of ordinance 06-07-22, paren 1, to discuss an approval of the amendment of chapter 90, paren waterways, article 1, paren in general, to amend section 90-18.
Support, I've got a support. Who's handling this? I see 2 people pointing. Come on, Bossy, you came to me on this one. All right, so we already heard from our prosecutor, Angela Mandarino, but could you go over what she was discussing about the
So this is taking the state code as it refers to waterway enforcement and vessels, which is currently a misdemeanor in the state of Michigan for any of those violations. And what we're doing here with this ordinance is shifting it to a civil infraction. So it kind of takes the sting out of it and allows us to handle this through our local prosecutor instead of the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. We have more local control of what's going on with enforcement of waterway violations.
I like when the ordinances are under our control, so we can be kinder and gentler. That if they don't want to listen to us, then we get them with the state one.
Correct.
Okay. All right, it is the second reading, so we've already heard from everybody. Does anybody have any comments on this? No, then Clerk Wright, you're gonna need to make a roll call on this. And for the next few.
Trustee Frazier is Gibson, Trustee Miller,
Yes.
I think
Trustee Moyne,
it's the same sort of
Trustee
thing.
Martin,
It's the
Trustee
same
Bud.
sort of thing the other.
yes for me, Supervisor.
Yes, motion passed. Thank you. Next item, Trustee Boykin, you want to read out the next item, second reading of an ordinance, number 6.
I move that we consider approval of the second reading of ordinance 06-07-22, paren 2, to discuss an approval of the amendment of chapter 90 and paren waterways, article 2, paren boat and water safety, division 3, operating requirements to amend section 90-67 and 90-69.
Support.
Trustee Miller. Okay, Mr. Bazey, Lieutenant Bazey.
Okay, this refers to the voter safety issue of if you're born after a certain date, you're required to have a voter safety card. That is also a state violation, which is a misdemeanor. This will allow us to make a civil infraction and also handle it through our local prosecutor's office.
Again, this is the second time we've read this, makes sense, keeps it local, we have control over it. Person doesn't have to have a misdemeanor on the record forever. So does anybody have any questions?
No.
Okay, I have a motion by trustee Boynton, supported by trustee Miller. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Aye. Oh, sorry, roll call vote. Clerk Wright, would you call the roll?
Trustee Frazier is absent and excused. Trustee Martin,
Yes.
trustee Boyd,
Yes.
trustee Miller,
Yes.
treasurer Bud,
Yes.
yes for me, supervisor,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay. Number 7, another rezoning of property from R1B to M1 light industrial.
I make the motion to consider approval of first reading on ordinance 06-21-22 parentheses 1 to rezone 30.88 acres of property from R1B single family residential to M1 light industrial.
Support. Okay. All right, director. Second reading, let's go over.
Yep, that's right. Second reading. Thank you, board. You reviewed this back in June. The request is by Crossroads Distribution Center North LLC to, as the reading said, rezone 30.88 acres from single family residential zoning to light industrial zoning, which reflects acreage that Ashley Crossroads Crossroads Distribution Center North has purchased and is ready to have as part of their overall development picture, and it allows them to be a little bit more flexible with how they start designing and building out their second phase of their project. So Dennis Schultz from Crossroads Distribution North is here to answer any questions, and I can answer some questions as well.
I see it all the time, so I don't have any questions. I've lived this thing for weeks. No? They're always with this easy, huh? Okay, we have no questions, so I have a motion by Clerk Wright. I have support by trustee Boynton. I have one more call for quick discussion. Hearing none. Oh, Clerk Wright, please call the roll.
Again, trustee Frazier is absent and excused. Trustee Miller,
Yes.
trustee Boyd, trustee Martin,
Yes.
trustee Bud,
Yes.
yes for clerk Wright, supervisor McNamara.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, a discussion 8. Trustee Martin, you want to take this one?
I make the motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 06-21-22, parent 2, to discuss an approval of the amendment of Article 2, parent fire prevention code of chapter 46, parent fire prevention and protection to amend section 46-31.
Support.
Motion and support. Fire chief.
Thank you. Again, this is just to update the fire code from an older version to a newer version, and we're also adopting IFC, which allows us better communication and streaming of plan reviews and so forth with the building department.
Okay. No, so like I said, if anybody's watching, we don't usually do this, but we've already seen this one twice. So I've got a motion, trustee Martin, supported by treasurer Bud. Hearing no further comment, Clerk Wright, would you call the roll, please?
Again, trustee Frazier is absent and excused. Trustee Martin, trustee Boyd, trustee Miller,
Yes.
trustee Bud, yes for me, supervisor.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Reports, we have none. Public comment for non-agenda items. Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak?
So Supervisor, I do have a comment that was left in our public participation link on our work study that I was gonna read, but I also had another attendee, Christine, that I believe wanted to make public comment. Well, we'll unmute to talk to, but I'm gonna read the comment left in our chat first. Okay. So this is from Mr. Stephen Dark. Why is there still graffiti on the utility box at Haggerty and Ecorse? It's been warm enough to paint for over a couple months now. Let's see. It's been there so long, several people had sprayed graffiti on it since I last brought it up. The township has made too much good progress to let stuff like this ruin it. Thanks. So Mr. Dark, we did get your comment, and I talked with ordinance and our public services director. This is not our property, but that it was something that was brought to our attention, and he's correct, a couple months ago. And we'll look to either having the property owner, or, you know, if it's AT&T as a utility box. I don't believe this is a TTE utility box, but it's something that we will follow up and have clear.
We're gonna get it.
We're gonna get cleared up right away.
I don't know how we missed that. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna do the best I can to have this link. I was sitting up there, and I'll move up there if I need to, but we're gonna try this. Christine, I'm gonna promote you to panelist and allow you to speak right now. Give me one moment. You're muted. Okay, you're able to see the board, but why don't you try to speak? I think they should be able to hear you.
Okay, I'm unmuted if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'd like to just introduce myself. My name is Christine. I am a licensed social worker here in the state of Michigan. I practice mainly in the city of Detroit. I've been working with our unsheltered, unhoused individuals within Wayne County, Washtenaw County, Metro Wayne for the past 12 years. I'm in active conversation with those that are in the same arena as I am. So conversation is coming back to me as far as some concerns about our hotel guests that are in the Van Buren area, and possibly some barriers that we're all facing as a community and our unsheltered individuals in our community. I would just like to raise attention that I'm here at the table to offer whatever assistance I can, you know, to try to bridge those gaps for the community and work alongside the partners, community partners in this to figure out if we can bridge those gaps that we're seeing right now. What I'm seeing a lot while working in the city of Detroit is a lot of these individuals are being pushed into Wayne County, into the city of Detroit. I will let you know if you don't know the data with our homelessness numbers. You know, we're surpassing about 10,000 individuals homeless in the city of Detroit, and that's not including those that are doubled up or, you know, experiencing housing insecurity in some way, facing eviction. For the past 2.5 years, I've sheltered veterans in hotels in your area. So I'm not really understanding what the ordinance is. If the ordinance is having issues and barriers managing these individuals because of behavioral issues, you know, some of my suggestions are working with community partners to get these folks connected to services. So they'll have those services wrapped around them. So yeah, I'm just kind of here at the table to discuss what's going on with this, to kind of advocate for the individuals that are unsheltered, unhoused. We don't have a lot of resources in this area that you guys are working in, experiencing these barriers for folks that are unsheltered. So whatever we can do, whatever I can do, I'm here to offer that and to be a part of the conversation.
Love to have help. Are you friends with Ashley? Get in touch with you.
Christine, Christine, they were asking if you were friends with Ashley.
Ashley is a colleague of mine. We do work alongside of each other. We do partner in our work to get the resources to individuals to bridge these gaps. what I'm experiencing on a day-to-day basis. We do have a coordinated entry system that's also not working properly for the individuals out here. So yeah, I work alongside many colleagues that are facing these barriers as well. So that's to answer your question.
Okay, we can get in touch with you through Ashley. But, yeah, I don't know what the answer is, and I don't think anybody here does. But we'll try and find something that works.
I mean, the only way we're going to end homelessness is housing. We run off a housing first model nationally. And I try to systematically explain to people, because of the barriers, one of our main barriers is the lack of housing, and the rental market that we're facing with a lot of these investors that are coming into our neighborhoods and our communities, and kind of jacking that rent up. The folks that we're serving out here only make so much money. Like my veterans that I had sheltered for 2.5 years in hotels in your area, they only get VA benefits, SSI benefits. That's only very low income. So there's definitely answers, and I'm here at the table to tell you that there are answers. We just need to, put our heads together and kind of figure out the solution, what that's going to be for your community. We can't keep denying these individuals because of behavioral issues. We're definitely going to see behavioral issues out here in the streets. That means that services aren't being connected properly. So if we can work together as a community and community partners, I think we can find our resolution.
Housing is a problem, obviously. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that we not just veterans, but we did 4 years ago lose a bid to Grand Rapids for veteran assisted housing. We really tried to get it hard. It's been over at more together than one of them. It's not that we're not trying to do some of this. It's just the opportunity has to be there. It's going to be sustainable.
Yeah, I think one thing that this community really needs is some kind of shelter. And that's kind of it's unfortunate that we have to talk about shelter system, because quite frankly, we should talk about abolishing the shelter system and talk more about housing, because that's more permanent. But right now, a lot of us social workers, case managers, therapists, we're all working in crisis, especially with this pandemic. And it's very unfortunate. We're losing lives every single day because we don't have housing and we don't have options to place people and get people off the street. We're all well in tune with how our winters run here. We lose multiple people daily in the wintertime because we don't have a safe place to put them. And when we're working in out of county, out of Wayne, like I said, we're seeing people shuffled down to the city. And one, it's not fair for the system. Two, it's not fair for the individuals, because they come down to the city and there's really nowhere to go except the streets. So that's kind of, I just wanted to put that on the table. If that's what we have to think about in getting shelter, a building, a safe space to bring people in so we can coordinate care properly. It's very hard as an outreach worker for the last 12 years. It's very hard to coordinate care for individuals from the street. We're dealing with a lot of things out here. So that's kind of one of my suggestions, to get to work, to get busy, to resolve this issue. That way we don't have to rely on some of our revenue sources like our hotels, and I get that. I get the barriers that some of our businesses are facing because of this. And it's not fair on that end either. So as a community, just really meeting with our community partners and kind of like honing in on what that solution is going to be. And right now it's shelter. It's a safe building to bring people in so social workers can connect people to services.
Thank you very much. We got in touch with Ashley.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
You know what? It's funny to me. This is something that's kind of close to me, because I don't know if a lot of you guys know, my wife is a clinical therapist, and I hear this all the time. Matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, she was talking to a young lady that was put out by her husband with the kid. Fortunately, the parents kept the kid, she was out, nowhere to stay. And they wouldn't, her sister wouldn't even allow her to stay with her, so. It was so bad that my wife, the ethical part, she can't get involved to a certain extent, so we were looking for someone to advocate for her to even to put up a night at a hotel. Next thing you know, I have a friend put up at a hotel that night. And that was one of the nights that was like 90, 98 degrees. She's talking about sleeping in her car. We have a big issue with issues out here. It's not just homeless. I mean, it's homeless people, but there's always types of incidents that makes people become homeless. And you gotta understand that it's not just someone that don't want to live in the street. There's all kind of issues that anything can happen on any given day, any time that could put you from being a house and a roof over your head to being homeless. And I think she's on the right track. We do need to come together as a community and figure out how we can advocate what's different in the streets. I mean, have organizations to try to figure out what we can do. I know the supervisor is right. We can't snap our fingers and create homes, but it's got to be something that we can do to help with these issues. The state of Michigan put everyone on the streets years ago. My wife started out at our site, and they closed all the buildings and put these people out on the street. And those are the people that you see every day if you go to the ball game or you go to the event. Those are who you see. And I know it's hard when you see them, but then we walk away and we go home to a roof with a nice air condition. And we forget about what we just saw when we walked out of the ball game or the event that we just went to. But then so we do have to think hard and try to figure out what we can do as not only the community, but as a whole. I mean, this shouldn't be, and it's only gonna end if we start talking about it and figure out what we can do. Like, we can be the first to do anything. We don't have to follow. We don't have to always be the follower. We can lead. We can start something. We might not have an answer, but we can start it.
Agreed.
All right, we're on to public comment on non-agenda items. Is there anybody else? No, board comments on non-agenda items. Comments? I want to comment on something. I read in the free press today. It's a good thing, where all the premier communities are starting to build pickleball courts. Birmingham is starting to look at putting in pickleball courts. They're trying to keep up with us. So, anyway, is there anybody else? Adjourned by Tim and support by Miller. No discussion. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Okay. I missed that. Flex box.